Okay, and I'll usually, for the model sheet, for the sake of my eyeballs, I'll try to find like some lighter, medium-ish gray type of background and just fill that background so it's not like blindingly white light. If I'm doing a model sheet for the computer, you'll notice on some of those videos, I will go into the gradient tool and I'll do a click drag, either dark to light or light to dark. Either way is fine, like whatever soothes your eyes. And that way, it gives you a little bit more sense of depth. So those are your backgrounds. And for these ones, I'm just going to lock them. So I like to make sure that you don't accidentally draw on the background because you really want your line work to be separate, right? At this stage in the game. Um, you also want to make sure your center line's perfectly centered. So I just hit Control R, which is the ruler. So you could figure out what you're, and you can just take notes on the general, like what you're supposed to do. Like the interface, you could look up, and no matter what app you're using, you can find the ruler and you can find guides and you can make sure that you're snapping correctly, right? So for this one, view, show extras for Photoshop's Control H, and rulers is right there's Control R. That's what I hit earlier, and I have the snap to on. So I'm going to show guides and paths. So for this one, if I go to the move tool, I can go up into my ruler and I can just grab a guide. And these are like some old school tools from like web design days. And I try and snap it to some nice even increments in there. And if it's not snapping, for at least for Photoshop, snap to is right here. All the snaps are turned on. It's Shift Control semicolon the shortcut key no one will ever remember. Shift Control semicolon. Can you all see okay online now? Everything's good?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, and then the center line is important as well. Now for each of these, if I did a Control Shift N and I name this layer, I'm going to go vertical, vertical keyline, vertical KL I do for keyline, and then and floor or ground or whatever you want to call it. And what I'll do is I'll go into my brush tool and see what kind of wacky brushes I've been using lately. Nothing too crazy, I hope. Okay, there we go. And I'll hit D on the keyboard. That defaults to black and white. X again will swap out foreground, background color. So I'm just going to go with the black, and if I can make the brush nice and small. And usually for the keyline, I want to pick actually some obnoxious kind of color that maybe is going to be different, or whatever works for you. You just want it to be really clear that this right here is my center keyline. I'm holding Shift down as I'm drawing across, and then I'm going down to the floor down here and pressing. And as I hold down the stroke, I hold down the Shift key, and the Shift key snaps and makes my lines automatically perfectly straight. If I zoom in there, you see it's pretty good. Go back to my move tool. I can move the guides back off my canvas. I don't need them. And there we go. So now I have my vertical key lines. Usually for these, lower the opacity down. And same as the other layers, I'm going to lock it just so I make sure I don't accidentally start painting or drawing on it. So this should work in Procreate or Key or I'm sorry, Sai, not Kai, Sai, or Suma or whatever app you're working on. So just make sure you have a center line and a floor that you're drawing on. And I'm going to open up a couple of the characters that we have here. So I'm going to start off maybe with this character. So I'm just going to marquee drag across. So the snow character, copy, and let's see here. Paste this over. I thought I saved it. Control Shift S. Model sheet. And I try and keep my model sheets really simple. You're just trying to get a sense of basic measurements and proportion and head height. So if I paste this in there, that actually worked out pretty good. I would say, in general, you want a little bit of space left for notes around the head. What's really important for the model sheet for this character is that the feet are flat on the ground and that it's in a standing kind of neutral, boring, what's called an A pose. So I'm going to use my magic wand tool here and I'm just going to click one time and delete the white backgrounds, nice and easy. Clean up. If I needed to make any changes to this character, I can very quickly do the Control U, right? So I can make it lighter, darker. If I needed to, focus on just the silhouette or whatever. Before I made any major changes, maybe I'd replicate it. So we'll just call this Snowy. There we go. Sorry if I don't have all your characters' names memorized yet. He's a cool character though. Oh, I did do 2 model sheets. Okay. So we don't need that one. This one's model sheet. There we go. So that one's good to go. I can close that down. And for this one, we're gonna do the skateboarding duck. Skater duck. So going over to here and Control V. Same thing, W. I should be able to get a nice easy selection of that with the tolerance level, anti-aliasing's turned on, and just hit delete. Now these are not going to be used for any kind of illustrative or graphical purposes, so don't sweat it if it's a little pixelated or doesn't look perfect. It's okay. I'm just going to kind of make sure I fill the screen up with the character, and that if I made the legs straight, the feet will be flat on the ground, and we can see where the top of the head is. So maybe this character could be a little taller and fill the space up. There we go. We'll also look into printing this out for 8.5 by 11. So I'm making these characters fill the page, whether it's a pixie that's like 6 inches tall or it's a ogre that's 12 feet tall. We just want to fill the space of the page of the paper. We're not really considering real life measurements just quite yet for this. Let's see if I can grab, try to get 3 done. Let's see, let me do that one as well. See how fast I can go. There we go. So open Nia's character, open with photo. Oh, Photoshop's not even on there. What the heck? There we go. It's Photoshop always. Oh, sweet. It's got a little alpha. Did you send me? Is that a PNG file? Is that why it's showing up different? Oh, it is a PNG file. Cool. Okay. PNG is nice. It has an alpha embedded in there. We can leave the kitty, although we're gonna do you would do a separate model sheet for the kitty. There we go. Control V, paste over, a little bit smaller. And then if it's constraining, right, just whatever, hold shift to hold the constraints. Like make sure whatever scaling you're doing is constrained, so that's not doing anything strange. Okay, so we got 3 characters. Let's try and do how fast I can bust these out. I'll start off with Snowy here. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is do head height. So head heights give you what's called a plumb line or a benchmark. So you can use the head height measurement to go to anywhere on the body and see how many head heights long the arm is, how many head heights long the foot is. Maybe it's 3/4 of a head. Maybe the hand is usually from the chin to the hairline. Maybe the hand is 3/4 of a head height. Maybe the arm is 1 1/4 of a head length. That's your little measuring sticks that you're using. And you can also call it the chibi height. So for this one, I'm going to, whoops, I put head on there. I meant head height. There we go. And then for these ones, I'm going to lock them just so I don't accidentally draw on the layers themselves. So go to head heights. And directly on the model here, I'm going to use my marquee tool. Remember, you can do elliptical by doing Shift M, which is between different marquee tools. And I want to make sure I know where the chin, bottom of the chin to the top of the skull. So I'm guesstimating where inside there. I don't know for sure where the head and the hair is per se. So I'm just kind of making an educated guess. As long as you're close, you're fine. You can draw through your drawing if you need to. I'll show you how to do that in a second. You guys kind of know how to do it already. You just do a nice light silhouette drawing through the costume and draw the body out as best you can. So I'm just gonna use really basic colors, so maybe some dark grays. And I'll just do Alt Delete or fill. You can also fill with your bucket. Right, it's over here. Paint bucket tool G underneath the gradient tool. Okay, Control U if I want to make it any lighter or darker. Control D, deselect, move. Now, if I want to constrain it to that height, I hold Shift down, it'll move straight across. So whatever app you have, you should be able to constrain a movement and make sure that that movement is locked to the axis so it doesn't go up or down. So I know for sure that's the bottom of the chin and that's the top of the skull. So for the head height measurement, I'm going to make another line. Go to the very top of the head here, just so it's touching. Hold down Shift and whoops, make sure I'm in B, my drawing tool, of course. And just gonna press really lightly and draw across the screen. Then go to the chin down here and draw across. Now, instead of doing that, what I could do is I could take this head height thing, Control J, replicate the layer, go to my move tool, hold down Shift, and I can just snap it until that bottom line hits the chin. Control J, duplicate layer, then snap, Control J, snap. Now, however you do this, on the videos, I just use a ruler, like whatever. You just want to make sure you quickly establish how many heads tall your character is. So now this character is in a pose, so I'm going to kind of work out the details of the actual dimensions of the character. It might be a little different than what I have so far. So there we go. So this character is exactly 6 head height. I think that maybe that's not quite 100% right. If I want to drop these layers down to the one below it, I just hit Control E. And each time I hit Control E or Command E, it drops it down into a layer below so that all of them are in. And you see that worked out perfectly. That's just total fluke luck. So this character is exactly 6 head heights tall. So let's check out for Snowy here. I'm going to go. And I'm sorry, Blair, what is your character's name? So I'm not goofing around calling your character Snowy. What's your character's name?
Anson.
How do you spell that?
Anson.
Anson. Gotcha. Cool. All right. So Anson for now is 6. And this is do you know if it's male, female, asexual? Is it gendered?
Male.
Male? Okay. Okay, so 6 head height, so it's relatively chibi. So he's gonna have a bigger head to body ratio. Now, if that's not correct, right? So you'd have to make this decision for yourself, Valeria. So if I went in here and I'm just gonna use some animation colors, I'm either gonna use animation red or animation blue, like whatever works for you. Now I don't want to be super bright and dull. I want something that's gonna actually show up on screen pretty well. So something maybe down around here, a little darker. And maybe if the head is in here and the head's down here, right? I'm not totally 100% sure where. Again, I'm not. This is a diagram. I'm not worried about any beautiful art you can see. I'm going to draw really badly on purpose. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. How unsteady my hand is. And then you could draw down the neck right here, do the shoulder over here, and maybe because of where the hips are, there's the groin. And just trying to get a good approximation from your drawing of what the actual dimensions are. So if I went down here to the knee, and I think it was from the bent legs like here, from the knee back to the heel, probably longer than where I put the floor. So let me zoom back here. And you're trying to translate exactly how tall your character actually is, right? So from here to here, and then from there, from the middle of the knee to there, is actually going to be pretty long. So if I do a marquee drag, and I drag that part from the knee to the bottom of the foot or the heel, and Control T, and I can move the transform, I find out that actually my character is a little bit taller than maybe what I had drawn. Right, and so I'm just kind of measuring now. If I was in the real world, I just would have used a ruler to do that, right? I would have taken a ruler from the kneecap to the bottom of the foot, straighten the leg out, and then that would be a little bit more accurate approximation of where the head is. Now, also inside of here, maybe the hood, if you want a regular head height, maybe the hood is coming down. Maybe the chin's actually more like right about here for that character, right? Just because the hoodie's open there doesn't mean the chin starts right there. Maybe the head's inside of there like that, which is probably a little bit more accurate. So did you want your character to have regular human proportions, Valeria?
I think I had like kind of tallish, lanky in
A little
mind,
taller and
so
lanky? Okay.
slightly, yeah, kind of like Tim
Okay.
Burton style, big head, long body.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Cool. So yeah, so this might be excuse me. This might be more accurate. There we go. So we can just crunch the head size down like so. Right. So I probably would have established the drawing from my chosen to do the diagram for the model sheet from the drawing. I probably would have done that first before I did the head height. I just want to show you how quickly I established the head height, made a copy, and then did the little head height line on there, so you can kind of give that a shot if you want to try that out. So let's try that now. I'm going to go to head heights here and going to grab from here. Whoops. I have to go back to my marquee selector here to here. There we go. Control C, Control V. There we go. And see. And voila, now it's 7 head height. So it's actually probably even more, right? If I do the ground down here, it could do. See, where is my vertical key line? It's right there. So if the feet are actually down there, I'm going to take my vertical key line, I'm going to unlock it, and I'm going to move it down. Oops. Try that again. So it's probably closer to right about there. So he's a little over 7, about 7.5 head height tall. And I can paste that again, grab that, and whatever the remainder is on this head down here below the actual floor is nothing to worry about. Doesn't really matter. Let's lower the. It looks like I got one of them I missed there. Okay, I missed this head right here, so I want to drop that down to Control E. Remember, Control E will merge the layer down, merge down, and it'll inherit the name of whatever that layer was. So now we're more almost average human head height. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. That's the exact of a regular human height. Now, if you want the head to be bigger and the body to be more narrow, that's where we're kind of deciding from the character design you have, how much of the body, if his waist is here, how much of it's poofed out, right? So if you're looking from there to there, does that measurement line up with, what I had drawn? So we really want to kind of discover where the body is inside the suit. So I think there's a bit of poof in the jacket, and so maybe underneath that jacket, the character is actually quite narrow. So we'll go down here. So next key line, we want to go down here and do the knee. So the knee comes down to right about there. So we want to establish that on both sides, and then it comes all the way down. This distance from this knee to this heel, you have some perspective. The back leg is a little shorter. That's okay. You kind of decide for yourself, and you can adjust this as you go, right? So you just kind of. So I do this little what I call the Star Trek symbol. It's like a little slope up and then slope back down again, and then up like that. And then the measurement for the arm here as well. If I need to, I could do a new layer, draw a line. We'll go from the wrist, maybe do a little hand right there. That's the first knuckle. So maybe he's going to have longer fingers. We'll see. The thumb. There we go. Okay, Control T. And this little center divide is really nice in Photoshop. That's your pivot. I can actually move it to like right about there. And it's going to swivel and pivot from that location, which is kind of useful. So you want what's called an A pose. You can do a full-on T pose, like where it's perfectly straight out, but like a nice relaxed A pose right about there. Palms back or palms forward. If it's palms forward, you would have it going this way, like that, right? Arms out. If it's palm backward, you'd have it going this way, and there's a slight, and this is in the videos if you go through the pencil ones. This is where the palms are backward, and the form's going to pivot the other direction for the arc. So you kind of decide for yourself which way you want to do it. I think these days, it really depends on the character. But I think palms forward is probably a little bit easier on the pose of the armature and how you're bending the wire. So that should be good there. And now, hit escape. I can kind of finish this off a little bit. And it's a pretty loose drawing, and really you're going to decide, you have the length of the foot. How big is the foot inside the garment, right? So right about there, maybe. So I can grab that piece here. And what you want to do is you want to draw the feet facing straight forward. So do a little triangle right here. Let me zoom in for you guys so you can see. So right here, just do a little triangle. Drawing the foot coming straight at you is really a giant pain in the ass, to be honest. So don't worry about it too much. Just kind of do a little triangle pyramid foot for now. And then make sure you know where your knees are, where the hips are. And for this character, for Anson, I'm going to lock him again, but I'm going to lower the opacity a little first. There we go. And then relock the character. And then make sure I'm drawing in the right layer. There we go. So right about there. Cool. Control V, I can paste that foot. So what you do for the other foot, you could have one foot going forward and one foot sideways. So one foot sideways, you want to make sure that the foot is solid on the ground and that you know where the ankle is and the heel is. You can also have one arm in you can also have one arm in A pose, and you could have the other arm in T pose. And you could do like a Vitruvian man if you wanted to do like the Da Vinci type of drawing. So this should be pretty close. Maybe the wrist over here is a little off center, so I'm just kind of making sure that I can quickly make adjustments to this character. No art, right? This is super sloppy, right? We're not really dealing with any design questions so much as just getting the proportions. You want like a really blah based body of the character. I'm not sure where the neck would be. Remember the shoulders, the very top, if you touch the top of your collarbone, the deltoid shoulders come off the and below it. They don't come up over the top of your collarbone. So your collarbone should be perfectly straight across here, and then you can put in the neck right there, and then you have the trapeze. If we're gonna do like the Burton thing where it's more narrow, you might narrow the shoulders up. I don't know. It's up to you. There we go. So one arm is an A pose. I might one foot is forward, one foot is sideways. But we're not going to move the knee and everything. We're just going to assume the leg is still facing perfectly straight towards you. The bottom of the inside of the knee is lower. The outside of the calf comes up higher. You want to make sure you have your overlapping shapes going in there, and then you have your calf coming out right there. The next bony protrusion right here is the top of the pelvic girdle, where your pelvis is at. And then you have the abdomen, belly button, chest, pectoral. You have the nipple landmark, the nape of the neck landmark. And this head I drew from your pose so far. So I want to flatten it out, make sure it's perfectly straight. And then see if I got everything on one layer. Looks like I do. Cool. Go into my lasso tool. And I can grab that arm, copy, paste, and flip it over horizontal. There we go. And if you don't like one side, you can always do the other. So if from your drawing, if the proportions are a little odd at all, and you want it to be something different, now's the time to kind of make that decision, right? So I think maybe his hands, maybe I drew his hands a bit big because his hand was thrusting forward. Maybe that was something from perspective. You could put diagonals at the elbow. If the palms are facing forward, it's going to be more of this shape. It's going to come down from the bicep and then out a little bit. If the palms are facing backward, it's going to go out to the elbow and then down this way. So it's going to go this way or this way. Two totally different angle bends. It's called your ulnar radiosity. It's how your ulnar flexes and bends when you're swiveling your forearm. And this is covered in the videos. And like I said, I told the online folks. I don't know if the rest of you heard me, but the videos are long because I'm doing a very slow step by step. I make a boring, simple base mesh first. I do the registration marks. I'm very careful using my colored pencils to erase and mark everything. I use a lot of what do you call the thin paper, tracing paper. And then I take my time and then I make a more complex character. So it's about 2 or 3 hours worth of videos that you can throw on while you're working. Or you could just watch this video and do it real quick like I'm doing it now. Now, if I wanted this to be finished, what I would do is do a new layer. And now I would just go in really carefully. Maybe I'll use animation blue this time. I'll just go up here to that color. And let me turn off your Anson reference for now. I could take this layer and I could reduce the opacity. Whoops. Before I do that, let's drop it down to the layer below. So everything's right there. Take a quick sketch, right? So same thing, sketchy, nothing precise, no anatomy, just kind of get the pose right, know where all of your joints are. That's the most important thing for now. There we go. So kind of mark where the joints are, where the wrist is, where the shoulder's at, nape of the neck. Make sure you have the center line here for the face. Nose, so eyes are exactly halfway. Nose is exactly halfway again between the eyes and the chin. And then lips are exactly halfway again between the nose and the chin. So really easy. And then ears usually go from the mouth to the eyes, right? Like that. So now if I'm gonna outline this, I would, this drawing here, maybe be a little more careful and you can actually draw your character. So the rule is for this, no clothes, no feathers, no costume in general, no hair, right? So you just want to know where the body is for the volume, so that way when we measure your skeleton, we know exactly where to measure from. You can, it's up to you if you want to do like a modesty fig leaf. If you want to make your character anatomically correct, that's okay. We're all adults in here. However you want to design it. It's important though to have nipple, belly button, and groin landmarks defined, right? Obliques. And I should note, I won't bother hopping over, but you have the anatomy reference. I gave you really great anatomy resources, and that'll be something you'll want to open up and have in front of you on the screen for the entirety of the semester. It's gonna go up. It's gonna go up a little bit in the wrist to the where the thumb is at. And if you do one good side, you can always just mirror it over and do the next side. Should be an arc in the palm. Any questions so far? My quiet class. Okay, if I need to see better, I'll go to the red layer. I'll just drop it down a lot. And voila, this kind of reminds me of the old days when I was my first art job ever was a comic book inker. And I would get these amazing pencil drawings and I'd have to ink and shade them with my brush pen and my Zipatone and my little razor blade. A lot of fun. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do on here is you do the ankle if you want. Is the ankle lower on the outside or the inside of the lower leg? Anyone know? Are they exactly equal? Higher on the inside, that's right. Good job. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, so the ankle comes down a little lower on the outside and it's up a little higher, a little lower on the outside, a little higher on the inside. Yeah. Then we'll come over here. And again, I'm going to keep the leg as if it's perfectly facing you. But then if you want to, you can also do the breakaway for the foot here. If I'm going from here to here, you could do both the above and below. If you want to do like something like that. Now, if you're going to do boots or shoes, that's okay. Just do something loose. I just want you all to get comfortable being loose and sketchy and just kind of think of these as design plates, right? You're going to print these out and scuff them up and get, dirt and paint on them, whatnot. So you're playing with proportions here, so you can decide, Valeria, as you're designing this character, if you want them to be more like Corpse Bride very quickly, I could just take this whole design. See if I got this on the right layer. Is that one? That is the whole layer. Okay, cool. So I could take this whole design and I could very quickly just go, all right, let's make them skinnier, right? If I want them to be more like a Jack Skellington Corpse Bride type character. So go for it. Make them super skinny. Underneath that big old, winter, hard to tell depending on your design. And maybe you want his head to be a little rounder or maybe even a little bigger chibi size, right? Maybe fill in those chibi lines. Corpse Bride, whoa. How'd that happen? I must have hit the D key. It's no problem. Just hold down Alt where you're in your drawing tablet and voila. So maybe you want him to have great big eyes, expressive eyes, and a little bitty mouth and little tiny ears. Okay, if you want to do the costume over the top of this, at this stage you can. Just do another color. So for this one, I'll do costume. And I'll go green with it. So let's do X right there. Sample out of there and just dial it down to green. Hunter green or yellow green. We'll do blue green. Okay, and for this one, I got to pull your coat back up again. And I'm going to unlock it for just a moment and maybe move it over to the side. And at this point, I'm just going to make a copy of it and I'm going to put a thumbnail of your design, of your pose that you chose, put it up in the corner for yourself. And if you have any other designs, you can put them up there as well. I think that is really helpful. Okay, do that one. So if you need to do clothes, feathers, or hair, you can. Once you're done with the body, just do them on a different layer in a different color. And make sure that it's really clean and clear and consistent. So I'm going really fast and sloppy, but at this stage, you can definitely begin to be a little more careful with your drawing. Let's see, where did I put the clothes costume? Oh, I have it hidden there. But so maybe, I don't know if the drawstrings here, I forget if it came up over the top of the head. And also for the body here, while you're doing the costume, maybe lower the opacity of the body and lock it so you don't accidentally put some costume stuff on the body. That's a little light. So I'm gonna go like a darker, deeper green. So I can really see if it's light on light. If I squint my eyes, I can barely tell the difference, right? And yeah, there we go. See that? That's a much cleaner. Now I can really see that green, right, against the blue. Going fast. I'm going fast, y'all. Gotta go fast. You gotta get this thing done, right? I'm not sure about the rest of the jacket. I won't do the whole thing. Maybe I'll listen to my own advice here. Let's see how fast I can do this. So it's around the waist. See how baggy and poofy maybe it is. Maybe make his waist even crazier, skinnier, right? And he'll really kind of have a. The more there's a poof of where the belt or the strap is on there, right? And he had the poofy wrists. I'm just gonna do one arm and one leg for right now. And it looks like right about there. And these ones really poofed out on the side. Maybe check out the cloth type on there a little bit better. What does you see? It looks like they're tucked in just below the knee. Maybe. And then from the front view, these would be pretty thick around the ankle with boots. But yeah, you got some laces on there and everything. So from the front view, you won't really be able to see too much. But what you want to do is you want to add the sole below where the foot touches the ground, just add it on like that. That's going to actually add a significant amount to the height of your character. And then you can decide, I'm not even looking, I'm just going really fast here. Okay. If he has gloves, I'm not sure, like he's pretty thick. These are like really thick, poofy gloves, giving it that dimension. And then if he had like the top of the hoodie coming around, and I think there was a little piece there. And I think I was doing that. Now, other things, go for it. Like if you want to change, add some other accessories. Just make sure they stand out and they're easy to read. So I'll do goggles. Goggles would be great to sculpt. You can get like little tiny lenses. I have a whole pack of lenses at home that I paid for. They're really nice. I wanted to give like Coke bottle, almost like magnifying glass lenses to some of my little creepy laboratory critters. So there's all kinds of little accessories we'll show you. Let's see, what do you have up there? Are they round? Okay, they're up on the head. So I'm just putting them on here for now. inside the hood, so to speak. I can go back down here to the body again, unlock, turn it up, and there's one. So yeah, probably only have time to do one then. Let's see. If I want to do the side view now, I'm going to take everything we just did here. And keyline, where's the head height? Head height is up here on the top. I'm going to put head heights on multiply, so that way it doesn't going to block anything below it. I'm going to drop the opacity way, way down. I should have done that earlier. That's not in my way. And going to lock that layer. Before I do that, maybe let's drop it down here below, above the vertical lines and lock it. So all of this stuff here, Control G, I'm going to group it. See if it'll let me. Maybe. No, won't let me. There it goes, group. So background or BG, I like to write. And then we'll do, so that's one, this is a translation, right? You're going to play with this a little bit. And yeah, this is fun. You'll learn a lot about your character as you do these orthographics. So no perspective, right? The foot should not be, you shouldn't see the top of the foot, shouldn't be facing downward like you would normal perspective. With your line of sight, when you look at someone, the feet should be coming down if you're doing an animation model sheet. So let me just really hit this point home for everybody. The 3D orthographic model sheet. We talked about this. I think I try to talk about every class with you guys, so don't forget. They should be flat on the ground, right? If you did a animation model sheet, which is kind of also called a turn. Whoops, turn. It's for the 2D animators to be able to see the form of the character, so they have perspective. They're like going away from you. They're coming towards you. You see the top of it a little bit. See how it's not flat, perfectly flat on the feet? See how that's there's a little angle there? See the back foot's a little higher than the front foot? That is not an orthographic 3D model sheet right there. That is for someone to draw in 2D that character in different poses so they understand the body. So be sure and do that part right. Same thing. Turn, see it's got a little perspective to it. So no perspective for these ones. These are basically your construction sheet. I'll continue with the side view. If I could pull up one more, I think this one's pretty much almost in an ortho pose. And then this one would be fun to do as well. Before I finish though, let's see, we're gonna do the points. We're gonna actually do the maquette skeleton. Okay, so for the maquette skeleton, I'm gonna go back into default, so pure black and white. And make sure I mark exactly where it's going to bend. I can hold down shift up to the hip. I'll have brush settings. There we go. So there, the bottom, and then whatever the distance of the foot, I'll just draw it off to the side. So from the bottom of the heel to the ball of the foot, and it's going to be a hoop if I'm looking at it from the top view. This coming straight towards me, it would just be drawn flat this way, because if I looked at it from the top view, it'd be like this. It's going to be a little hoop you're going to put the screw through into the wood. Does that make sense? If I drew it, it's kind of bent sideways and 90 degrees turn for the loop. It's going to go up to the little bit below, in between the tailbone and the belly button, and you're going to twist the two sides up to the neck. You're going to do a hoop inside the head, well within the bounds of the skull. So don't let the wire ever get close to the edge of the surface. Going to widen up here, and then it's going to go back down here, and then hold down shift, and And then same thing, it's gonna be another hoop there. I could also do it down this way if I wanted to. For the torso, for your second wire, so that's one wire. I'm gonna show you how to bend those wires next week. So hopefully you get your model sheets. If you're not ready, I'm just gonna sit down with each of you and just draw them out real quick. Like super loose and dirty like I just did. It'll take, 15, 20 minutes and it'll be pretty tiring. It'll be a long class, but make sure you settled on your characters. I don't mind you changing your characters, but I really want to get you started sculpting. I want to get the clay in your hand. The wax clay is really fun. I want to get you in some monster clay and some aluminum foil. It's so fun to play with the wax clay. So for this one, you want to have a U. So this is really important. It goes this way, up to the shoulder here, and I would make sure this is equal on both sides, across to the pivot. So I'm put a little dot there where it's going to bend, and then shift, dot at the elbow, and then shift. That draws an automatic line in between. I forget the shortcut in Procreate. It's easy to look up. And then to the wrist, and then just like with the feet, it's gonna be a little hoop, well within the flesh, within the side of everything. And then we're gonna add little fingers on there. So you can go well within the side, the end tip of the finger. And then the wrist usually comes off. I mean, the thumb usually comes off the wrist if you do the thumb right. So I can grab this piece here, I'm just using my selection tool, copy and paste it over, Control T, flip horizontal. There we go. Make sure it's perfectly aligned. And drag that over. Now, what's really cool about this, when you measure your wire, you could do the craziest pose. You could have like a super Spider-Man ballet. You could do the coolest pose with your sculpture, and none of your joints and arms and legs are going to be the wrong measurement. Your wire becomes this like beautiful three-dimensional wire sculpture, like in space. And we're going to talk about wire sculptures next week as well. Get you started doing some wires. Any questions on this so far? Call this a wire. Oh, armor. Oh, I had my cat skeleton below it, didn't I? Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, no questions at all? You sure? How's the online folks doing? You guys still awake?
Yeah, still awake.
Still awake? Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Got it. All right, cool. That's one. I'm gonna see if I can go even faster with Dylan's is a little more graphical, a little less detailed than that one. We'll see how this goes. So same thing, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna lower the opacity way down so I can kind of see my line work nice and clearly. Now all the background stuff I just did, all of these vertical key lines and the head heights, that belongs to the other group actually. So I should bring that over to the Anon character. Right, because this one's gonna have its own head height. So we'll grab this one and let's see, bring it down so roughly to where the heel's gonna touch. Pretty good. If I need to, I can actually take parts of the character and actually kind of make the model sheet with it. I'm just gonna straighten everything out so it's facing perfectly towards the camera. Now you can decide, this is gonna be a challenge for this character, doing 2D graphical characters. It may not take as long, but it's just as hard to do. It's hard to do a good like Ratatouille character, but in a sculptural form, or a like Samurai Jack, or kind of this particular style of character. I don't know what you'd call this, but it's almost more of a Nickelodeon Cartoon Network type character. Okay, so I could literally take the leg and let's see, before I do that, let's make a copy of it so I have the original. I'll just go orig usually when I'm doing this. There we go. Okay, that again. I'll go in here, Control T, move the pivot, and move it like that. Cool, I think that'll work pretty good. Even bring it over to the other side maybe. Yeah. Control T, maybe warp it, maybe straighten it out a little bit. I'm just saving myself some time on redrawing it all the way. There we go. It was there, now it's there. And again, you're gonna play with proportions that make sense to you. Because the knees turn sideways, so it's gonna have a little bit more thickness than if it was drawn perfectly from the front view. So that's already pretty close right there. Like, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's flip it over horizontal. Let's go. And let's get it on, what I do, lower the opacity of that one and that one. Yeah. Was that one 33%? That's fine. There we go. I'll go back to the main body. And we want to do a relaxed A pose. The arms are different lengths, so you got to decide how much of that was your perspective in your drawing, how much of it is like stylized, graphical in nature. So kind of pick and choose for yourself what you want to do with that. Put the pivot over here, do it more of a relaxed pose. Now I'm just going really fast. I would redraw, once you're done doing something like this, I would still like do a nice little redraw over the top, maybe take 30 minutes or an hour and kind of clean it up and get it just right, however you want it to be. There we go. See what I got there, a leg and arm. Cool. Where's the arm at? Was it? Okay, so the arm is part of the same model. Okay. Maybe I didn't separate it yet. All good. Just go in here one more time. Copy and paste. Transform. Bring it over. And now you have the big question on this character. How do you want the head to be, so to speak? How do you want this like collar to be? Is this how he would look directly from the front view? Right? You gotta figure that
I
out.
think his neck is like much bigger than his head.
The neck is bigger than the head?
Well, no, but I just mean like maybe not proportional. Quite a
Yeah.
long neck.
Yeah. Curious. And so then maybe, you know, I get in here and start trying to decide what is that's the first thing we want to peg, right? We want to know what is the head height. Where's the chin and the bottom of the skull? So where's his actual skull at? I think is a big question for this character. So, you know, maybe it is this whole area here. Let's see if I can turn this shape dynamics back on. You know, I don't know if it's gonna have a point though or not. So maybe you're kind of doing this type of deal. And the neck. And then maybe the duck bill is there. Maybe when it's facing perfectly flat towards you, maybe it's not quite so. Like, I don't know. And I'm doing key lines here for where and maybe the top of this stops right there. Maybe you can see it from the side a little bit. Maybe it leans from one side to the other. I don't know. Kind of figure that out. But yeah, this would go really fast now. See how fast I'm going? I have no concerns that it's perfect yet. The general scale and proportions are accurate. That's what's most important. And let's see if the skull, maybe the skull is going to go from like here to here. Something like that. Figure that out. You sure you just want mitts and a thumb? You can kind of figure that out. Looks good so far. And the knee is going to be more centered, right? You do that way on one leg and then go ahead and draw the foot out flat on the other side. So let's hide that. There you go. There's your guy. Last thing you want to do is do an actual side view. So some of the characters, like this character, is probably going to give you way more information from the side view than you got from the front view. And maybe I'm waiting to do the head heights proportion. Maybe I'm waiting to draw it out first and then doing the head proportions afterwards. So you kind of decide what makes sense for you. So yeah, for this one, let's see. Oh, I want to make sure it has a key line though. I don't want to lose track of where the centers. Woo, up there. There you go. And then maybe he's got his own information there. And I don't need the vertical key line from the first drawing. Do this one separately. Do side view. And for the side view, oh, I did have the whole head over there. Oh. I'll bring that over to the side like that. And maybe now you want to actually do some key lines to measure from the front view to the side view. So this becomes a little trickier, but if you just go quick and do your first best guess on it, then we just do a little bit of adjustments together in class. So don't worry if it's not perfect. We'll do, these are going to be landmarks. Landmark key lines, we'll call it. And we do a different color. Let's do, let's see. Let's do a magenta version of that. Okay, so top of the head, crossed, top of the eye. Let me zoom in here. Top of the eyeball, or if he's got like little eyebrows, I'm not sure how you envision the feathers. Tip of the beak. If the beak's not facing downward, the beak's facing perfectly out, maybe the top of the beak. Bottom of the beak. Crux of the neck here, maybe. Like whatever you think's gonna help you draw out that match up the side view to the front view. Like go ahead and draw that out. Maybe the corners of the collar. And then same thing here, I can lower the opacity way down. So it's nothing obnoxious. And now I can go here to here. How long is that beak? You know, where does it if it's not facing downward, maybe it is facing downward. Maybe that's how he oops, let me get the other color back. So I want to do the same color as my key lines. Yeah, maybe that orange, that burnt orange is a good color. And now for the key line for the side pose is really important. I'm just going to, let's see, did I switch to orange? Oh, I did, okay. Make sure your model's not falling over. I'll kind of end this lecture with this point. Almost every single out of like 100 students last semester, almost every single student had their side view balanced one way or the other. They look like they're falling forward a little bit, or they look like they're falling backwards and their feet were too far forward. And we had to make slight adjustments. I'm constantly improving my characters and going, oh, this is too far forward and nudging it back and forth. So try to make sure when you do your key line for this, for the side view, make sure that your character is balanced. So I'm just going to do my general S curve of the torso. So I'm going to go to here. Oops. Make sure I'm using the other color. Go. So shoulders there, right? Maybe the top of the shoulder should be another key line that goes across, not the corner of the collar. That's a really good point. Let me go back to the key line. Top of the shoulder is definitely important. Let's see if I get the magenta again. There we go. And you got to know, sometimes you got to label these, you know, shoulder and, you know, collar tip. Like make sure you know, don't get confused what key lines and what benchmarks you're putting on there. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to go do the circle. This helps a lot for almost any creature. The S curve of the pelvis is going to go down this way, up this way for the rib cage. There's the crotch, maybe a little higher. And you want to know where your spine is for this character. Then the front of the legs goes forward, the back of the calf goes backward like that. Now, even if you have a super stylized character, try to make that general assumption. And then if you gotta go back through and straighten it out afterwards, cool. But start with that premise and it'll really help you a great deal. And I think the mohawk now is gonna be very, very symbolic. So if you were to name one of the iconic figures of this features of this character, definitely the mohawk, right? Or what do you call that part on a? So is this more of a rooster than a duck? Did you
I was
decide?
aiming for more of a duck.
More of a duck? Okay. So whatever is this a mohawk then?
Yeah.
It is a mohawk. Okay, cool. And then yeah, and then now I can kind of play with this and it'll leave the arms off too. So you're gonna have no arm. And where's that little faint one? Did I draw into the okay, oh it's on this layer. Oh, okay. So marquee drag, cut, paste, maybe let's call this head. And whatever you need, like if you look at good model sheets, you'll see little notes and little pieces all around. Okay, and I was hoping make time. What are we doing? Are we at like 5:15 or so? Yeah, 5:15. I'll stop there. I'll save this. I'll post it for you. Let me go into Zoom. Zoom. Aim for precision or yeah, definitely approximation. Some precision though. Some precision